school system. We are going to do something a little bit unusual. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. I believe we have 3 of our board members literally 5 minutes away. So, there we go. Recess.
And we're gone.
Welcome back to the work session for March 6, 2025. First up is our Pledge of Allegiance, led by Ms. Tammy Sharp. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask you to bow your heads for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next, we have the agenda. Any changes? Next, we have the consent agenda. Next up, we have a special speaker tonight. We have a demonstration of Open Gate, and you're up.
So I had the chance to go to MTSU to talk to them about our graduation. And when I went in there, they had several of these inside. And so I got to talking to them about it, and they had purchased several of those that they're going to be using at our graduations. And I just loved how sleek, and they don't have any wires. I mean, they're so simple to operate. They don't look like a metal detector. So I really started inquiring about them, and got connected with
Communications technology.
yeah, and Dave Childs is not here. So asked them to come in and do a demo for you guys so you can see what these are all about, and maybe possibly get some more of those in our schools. I'll turn it over.
Thanks for having me tonight. My name is Bill Muller, retired police officer from St. Louis. I am the training specialist for Open Gate for communications technologies. Communication technologies, we've been around for 25 years. We specialize in K through 12 metal detection. We deal with cameras, access control, phones, all that. We are CHEA's largest distributor for K through 12 in the United States for the Open Gate. A little bit about CHEA. CHEA has been around since the late 60s. They were formed in Italy. Hudson, Ohio is their United States headquarters. Their claim to fame is they protect everybody from the Pope to the President. We walk through their metal detectors whenever we go to the airport. They manufacture all those. The Open Gate was designed for fast throughput and get about 2,000 people through in an hour through one set of towers. They operate on a battery, 18-volt lithium battery. It's flip on the switch and wait about a minute to 2 minutes setup, and you're ready to go. With the Open Gate, we can look from a large weapon all the way to a half a scalpel blade. New York City uses them. They were looking for weapons. They went from looking for weapons to knives to scalpels. The kids have changed from bringing guns. I can show you a few videos here.
Stay line across the moving guys. Going straight. Going straight, please. Keep going straight, please. Keep going straight. No, look at me. Look at me. Look at that. Keep going straight, guys. Keep going straight, please. Keep going straight, please. Don't worry about stopping. Keep going. Stay ahead. Single file, guys. Single file, please. Single file. Keep going straight, please. Keep going straight. Single file, guys. Don't worry about stopping. I'll stop. If it goes off, keep going straight, please. Keep going straight, please. Keep going straight. Don't worry about stopping. I'll stop you. Keep going straight, guys. Stay ahead, please. Keep going.
Already talked about CHEA. Open Gate is completely wireless, 300 zones of detection compared to a traditional metal detector with the archway. They have 80 zones of detection. That's why I'm able to change the settings on the secure app from a large weapon to a half a scalpel blade. They're lightweight, they weigh less than 25 pounds, about 20 pounds without the batteries, 25 with. They're weatherproof, controlled by a secure app. Really no divesting items. There's a few for students with school, Chromebooks, 3-ring binders, collapsible umbrellas, and eyeglass cases are the 98% of what all kids bring in their backpacks. There's a few other items that will set it off, but those are the main items. Greater throughput, fewer nuisance alarms. With this, I can walk through with a lot of things and not set it off. You see the sleeves on them. You can doctor them up however you'd like. School logos. There's 360-degree alarm indication on it. Easy to locate. On-off switch. Battery compartments. They run off of the 18-volt lithium batteries. The battery life is 12 to 14 hours. You only need one battery to operate it, so as long as you have one battery and you can use it. Recommended distance for apart is 28 to 36 inches. Traditional metal detector is 28. Rapid charger it comes with, about an hour and 30 minutes on charging the batteries. We have stabilizing plates over here for outdoor use, football games. You see uneven surfaces, gives us a bigger base. The secure app, once the machine is registered to you, nobody else can have access to it. I brought Mark here, he's from Manchester City. They use them. I trained him about a month and a half ago. He was kind enough to bring his units up so we can do a little demonstration for you. They're used for everything from school entrances to football games, random checks, graduation, school board meetings. We do deal a lot with courts now, and the random searches everybody wants to ask, can he get vapes? I can get vapes with them. I can get about 50 to 60% of the vapes, about 50 to 60% of the time. As I mentioned, a few things that need to be divested, Chromebooks, because that metal hinge on the Chromebook represents a large K-bar knife, which I'll show you here in a second. Here's a school in Pennsylvania.
Morning, everyone.
Here's a football game. Football games, stadium chairs, binoculars, large cameras. Set it off. It's looking for a metal density.
I just saw Gary. Keep on. Thank you.
So as I mentioned, it's looking for a metal density. So this is compliant with the National Institute for Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice. It meets their level 2 compliant for full-size and compact weapons. So this represents my slide, my barrel. Most guns are made of polymer, the lowers are made of polymer. So this is a metal density it's looking for. This is our test piece. I mentioned there's a few items that kids would have to make out of their backpack. Eyeglass cases, binoculars for sporting events. 3-ring binders, you see the K-bar knife, that's what that binding represents. Collapsible umbrellas, if umbrellas are made of aluminum, every time you go out in the wind, they break, they bend in half. So the metal, when it's collapsed, meets that metal density we're looking for. This also looks for IEDs, as you see the tomato soup cans. They brought it to canned food drive, they were stacked like that, they were wondering what the heck's going on. Well, once we separated them, it didn't meet that metal density. So I had one kid bring 10 cans of the Vienna sausages. Said he liked it. Big question we get asked is medical devices, is it safe? For implants, defibrillators, insulin pumps, cochlear implants. Yes, Chad has a third party that does their certification on all the machines. And again, there's your sleeves to doctor them up however you like. Make them look less intrusive. With the secure app, with the open gate, this is how easy it is. All I do is search for devices, and you turn them on. That's how quick it reads it. It reads it off Bluetooth. And here's what it tells me. It tells me it's 32 inches apart. It tells me serial number, battery life, indicator which battery I'm using, which is the main and the secondary tower. There's two types of users with it. There's one user, which is a regular user, that only can see the settings. They can't change the settings. So we're ready to set up, we're ready to go. So anybody can walk through with, I've got keys, I've got my phone, not a problem. Metal detection is either way. It doesn't matter which way I'm walking. As soon as I have my test piece, it's going to go off. This also has a counter on it. So football games, graduations, you want to see how many people attend. Counter, again, metal detection is either way. If I go through 100 times towards you and 10 back, it counts my 100 as my inbound. Here's a little bit of what we can see and change: alarm duration, alarm tone, alarm volume, counter inbound and outbound. Hit reset and go back. There's only three things that'll make this thing not work. One is too far apart, which is over 36 inches. Wrong orientation, because we have to have the transit sides facing each other. Or electrical noise. Low ceilings, we get some electrical panels closed. We get a server room, boiler room that's got a lot of electrical noise. That could have a problem with it. So when these came out, they came out for schools, but they use them over in Paris in the Olympics. For the Olympics, we have different international settings. I remember I said I could look for a large weapon, all the way down to a scalpel knife by changing the settings that quick. So before I went through with my wallet, my keys, my phone, as soon as it now it's basically a traditional metal detector. I can bump it up. We have what we call sensitivity delta. Some schools want to get small knives, some schools don't. I say small knives. I can go to a teacher's desk and find a pair of scissors and I can do more damage with a pair of scissors than I can do with that small knife. So small knives, remember if we want to get small knives, we got to bump up the sensitivity and we lose more things out of our pockets. With the school settings, this is the school settings that 98% of my schools use, and it's going to find your weapon. I've been to 33 states, I have over 100 trainings, and I went to Norfolk, Virginia in January. They had a new staff, new security director, new security officers that have been using it for a year. They know what they were doing. I trained them. I got a phone call last Wednesday. They pulled that on 9mm off a kid that was going to use it. Went through the machine, set it off. We separate the kid from the backpack. He cleared. We went and searched his backpack, found it, grabbed the kid's arm, and went to the office. He was getting bullied and decided he was going to take matters into his own hand. So these things work. If they go off, there's a reason. We just have to find out why. Any questions?
What is the lifespan of your units typically?
Well, as I was telling them earlier, when 9/11 hit, all the machines you walk through the airport, They've been there since 2001. We've got a set of machines that we travel over the United States to get rented out, to get shipped out for demos. No issues with them. They're 5 years or 4 years old. There's a 2-year warranty on them. Chea manufactures everything on here. Once you purchase them, you own them. Free updates on the app. If there's an update, it'll alert you. Just all you do is push a button, and it takes 3 to 5 minutes for the update. And if there's any issues, Chea is very good about taking care of the issues there. Out of all the schools I've trained, I think I've had 2 issues out of probably 1,000 units.
A couple questions. Maintenance, is there any type of maintenance you do?
No maintenance. Maintenance, wipe them down with a wet cloth, dry them off. No chemicals. It's only maintenance.
You mentioned dry them off, so they are weatherproof.
They are weatherproof.
You know, high school is probably 2,500, 2,000. How many of these are recommended for schools that size? I know it probably depends on how many
entrances you have.
entrances.
And I mean, I've had some schools with 6 entrances, we've cut down to 2. Some we've cut down to at least 3. 2,500 students, probably need 2 at each door. If you have 3 doors, 2 at each door. I did Stevens County, Georgia. We had over 1,300 people. Kids come in. We had 4 units, 2 up top, 2 down below. We had every kid in. Not one was late to class.
Anybody else? Dr. Sullivan?
What is lead time as far as getting them?
From the time we get the PO and we get it to Chea, probably about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that's what it's been right now. And as I was talking to Mr. Vaughn, I schedule them out to the middle of, I'd be the one doing the training. I'm out in the middle of April right now.
Is it under state bid or on new contract or anything?
We have, I think, that's pricing.
Do you have a list of any other counties or anything you've worked with in Tennessee you could send us or anything? You
I've
know?
got one right here.
Manchester.
Perfect. Okay.
Love that. On the TikToks.
I'm Mark Allen, the Technology Director and Safety Director for Manchester City Schools, and we have a lot of safety leaders. Our school district's really small. We're 3 schools, don't have a high school, and haven't had an incident like you've seen in some of the public. And I stood and taught in Rutherford County, so I know the size that's here. And but we were missing a layer of security. We have access control on every single classroom door. We have the tent on all of our windows. We have teacher buttons, for our teacher distress. So we were just missing one level. We initially got these as a random check. And then Antioch happened, and we thought we can't do random checks anymore. So when we looked at Evolve, we looked at the price, and it's just enormous for a small district like us to go for random searches for that kind of money. So we ran across the Open Gate system, and it fit our budget, and we thought we would give them a shot. And as you can tell, they're very simple. You need no technology experience to run them. We're running them right now at our middle school, 467 kids in about 12 minutes. So
You have 2?
we have just one set.
Just one.
Just one set we're running through right now. So we're moving. That was the apprehension that we had at that school, is how much staff it's going to take. The first day it took more. Our SROs are there. They're not involved in searches unless they have to be, involved in that. But the kids are starting to run through pretty quick. They're used to it now. So we feel like it provides us with another layer of security. So I'm happy to answer any other questions y'all have from a school system's perspective.
No problems?
No, sir. No, sir. No problems at all. They're as simple as you see. If you run out of batteries, you can go to Home Depot and get Milwaukee batteries and run them. Just got to be careful. They're the big batteries. Your maintenance guys will steal them.
That's why we inventory them. Yeah.
Our guys wouldn't do that.
That's why we inventory them.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I would
Yes,
like to say, one of our schools did request to have these in their school at all times. They've had the Evolve system ever since Antioch happened,
And she does not want them to leave. She wants them in her school every day from now on. She said that her staff and her students feel safer with these in the school. And I've got principals right now asking me, how can we buy these? So I just wanted you all to know how important these are to our students and staff and our principals in our schools.
And I can echo, that was part of our, it was not something that, I think Mr. Tidwell and I discussed, it was not something that, as a director, I ever really believed in being in schools. I felt like I sent the wrong message, but I think Antioch hit close as it possibly could. And I definitely believe in it now. And it was a big portion of our budget request and budget conversation with the principals. Just the deterrent, the sense of security. Agree, yeah. Yep.
and for me, how sleek
And simple these are to set up and how fast they set up, that was one of the things that caught my eye. You can pick it up by the handle, move it to another set of doors like that. There's no issue. And like he was saying, one of the things when MTSU was showing them to me, they set them too close. And so when you're starting to app up, it tells you they're too close and you got to set them so far apart. So it's, you know.
I call it full.
I was gonna say idiot proof, but yeah.
They're full. They really are.
They seem to be relatively simple to use and effective. And I think my fellow board member, Ms. Sharp, when we first came on, we probably would have been a hard no, but things have changed drastically.
Well, and like they were showing in the videos and stuff, you know, the kids,
Since we've had Evolve in the schools, the kids have gotten used to it, and it becomes quicker and quicker every day that they walk through these. They understand what they, passing the computers around, moving umbrellas, things like that. They know.
Well, they've seen them at ball games and other sporting events outside of our school system. So they are becoming secondhand.
just a thing, like clear bags.
We don't have any choice
Yeah.
but to provide security. If kids don't feel safe, it's not gonna matter. So we got to do all we can.
That's right.
Ms. Maxwell? Oh, go ahead.
It takes about 3 days what they have to take out. It takes about 3 days for the kids to understand what they have to take out and how to do it. After that, there's no issues. I get more texts from security directors saying, hey, we're on our third day and went great.
Awesome.
Ms. Maxwell?
Ms. Rosales?
Okay, sorry. I apologize for being late. There was a really bad traffic. What is the next step in trying to get the metal detectors for every school? Are we waiting for budget?
There are a couple things. So one, I want to explore a couple different options and let the board know all the different options of what our current systems are, how much that would cost. I want to hear from other big districts as well, if you can provide some just across the country that have used them, and hear just some pros and cons there, and then look at our state bid list as well and see what other, just so you all have comparisons to make a good decision from. But that's a priority for me in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, great. So you think this may be coming up for a vote in April then?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Ball?
Do we have funds available now that we could purchase these if need be?
Fund balance. Fund balance.
Any other questions?
Ms. Maxwell.
Yes, Mr.
Dr. Sullivan, how much is the Evolve system? And this don't have a subscription fee. What was the subscription?
The subscription on the Evolve systems are $20,000 each.
Per year.
Per year.
Per year.
For another 3 years.
There's nothing on these, all right?
No.
All the updates are free. If there is an update, it comes through the app. All you do is click on the button. It's 3 to 5 minutes.
And I can tell you, we debated doing this in executive session, but I wanted the public to know that we're serious about looking at these things. So Patty and I talked about which one to do it in.
Anything else?
So we're going to see here another vendor, or is that?
Not necessarily. I'm just going to give pricing options and other options as well. Because I think it's fair to look at what we currently have and see what the cost would be.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And just so you all know too, I have other school districts that reach out to me, asking me questions about different things that we use. So like Dr. Sullivan said,
I've already got an email waiting for another school district for me to call in. So I'm in the same boat as they are, calling other districts to get what they're using, you know, and how it's working for them and things like that.
You just had one today called.
I went to Cheatham County.
That's maybe who it was that called me, actually.
So I've been called several times for people wanting to know what we think about them and how we're using them, whether we use them daily or we use them for spot checks.
Tell Joey to love one. Yeah.
Well, if that's everything, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming. This was very informative. Next, we have Rutherford Proud.
Be Thursday.
She's going to be here Thursday. I'm very
Yep.
excited.
Yep.
First female. That's awesome. No public comments tonight. Financial matters.
Yes. So we have a Fund 177 fund balance and expenditure approval. I know it seems strange that it's fund balance, but this is getting ahead on a project we need to go ahead and move on. So, Mr. Lee, this will be done by this summer, correct?
Yeah, the LED project will finish up the last little bit of the sports lighting, and the other will get us the equipment that is needed for the Smyrna Elementary project, and the other half of that project is in next year's budget.
Yeah.
But by buying this now, we will be able to complete the whole project this summer,
So,
instead of having it carry over into another summer.
so you'll see this amendment moves funds from account 34,685 committed for capital projects to account 91,300, 335 maintenance and repair services, buildings in the amount of $1,635,468. This movement of money from fund balance will go to fund the additional increase of $84,442 to the high school LED lighting project and the additional increase of $1,551,026 to Phase 1 of Smyrna Elementary HVAC project. This is part of a 2-year project for Smyrna Elementary School that began this summer and allows RCS to do additional work before the next school year. And just for anybody watching, our Fund 177 is funded by property tax largely and some adequate schools facility tax. That comes in because it's on property tax, usually in February and March. We had some issues with Smyrna Elementary School last Friday, and so we want to go ahead and take care of this during this summer and not wait. So this allows us to go ahead and get it done. It will have to go all the way through commission approval because it does ask for fund balance out of 177.
Okay. Next, we
Maxwell.
have, go ahead.
Trey, as far as the LED lighting, can you kind of give us an update where we're at on the LED? Are we talking mainly just the athletic fields at this point?
Yes, sir. What we budgeted in this year's 177 was $6 million. That is all county sports lighting fields, baseball, softball, and football. We will complete all county schools in 1 year with an LED upgrade by the middle of the summer. The lighting came in at $6,084,442. So, thought that was pretty good. But anyway, we will complete that right now, and I guess it'll be next week at the retreat. We'll discuss moving forward with the building LED inside the buildings.
Ms. Maxwell?
Ms. Rosales.
I thought I had remembered last year we had the same conversation and we brought that up. And you had mentioned there was going to be a phase 1 and phase 2 and that we were building it in the budget. And that phase 1 was going to be on the outside, changing the LED lights. And then the phase 2, we were going to move forward with the building, changing all the lights in the building. So I know that we're going to have a retreat, but are we discussing
That's what he's saying.
That's what
It's
I'm
all-
saying. It's two
It's all
different
Fund
budgets.
177, so it's all depending on if they let us keep 177.
Oh, okay, because there's a conversation that they may be removing the Fund 177. We had a very interesting conversation with a county commissioner recently about budget, and they were wanting to know specifically the pennies, how many pennies we were keeping for our budget that we're going to be asking, which is a very interesting
Every
question
penny
to
we
look
have.
at it in that regard.
Every penny we have,
Well, I understand that,
Yep.
but, yeah.
and additional pennies,
Huh?
and additional
Well, we
pennies.
kind of touted around that. There may be some additional pennies being asked on that as well.
Yeah, but it is part of this year's Fund 177 budget. That's us funding it ourselves.
Okay.
Okay. So one more question really quickly. So there was a, I don't want to bring up a controversial issue, but there was a there was a statue that was built into the code, that was part of the Education Savings Act that was passed, that included funding that can go towards maintenance of effort. Do we know if there is a timeline for those funds to be dispersed at all, or how much we're going to get for the county?
Not a lot. The one that was $25 per kid,
Is that how much it was, $25 per kid? Is that was it, really? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not a lot then. It made it sound like it was a lot of money.
yep. I think it's just a little bit over $1.5 million.
Okay. All right.
Next, we have number 10, Human Resources.
This is our Advantage XPO renewal agreement. Rutherford County Schools currently contracts with Advantage XPO for substitute teacher services. Advantage XPO will maintain their current contract and bill rate will increase by 28 cents per substitute daily obtained. This increase is due to an increase in the SmartFind software profile rates. Is this our last year of renewal? Yep.
And what is the daily rate that we're giving to our substitutes?
The daily cost rate depends on if they are degreed,
Yeah, or
if
not
they have their experience on that, and then also we do additional $10 for the hard-to-fill schools.
If they have no degree, just a high school diploma, is it 95, 85?
It's about 95.
Okay.
And then it goes up $10 for each additional area. And then they do also additional things if they, substitute 20 days a month, and they do little assigning bonuses for that.
Okay.
Well, and so right now our fill rate is running about 77, 78%, which is really good because we do realize that our subs become our EAs become our teachers, and so it's a great recruitment as well.
Yes, it is. Yes, Ms. Sharp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When was the last time they received a raise? Do you remember? I don't remember.
2 years ago,
Years ago.
when we went up for additional.
I think we started out at $85. Yeah, okay. Number 2.
This is a contract renewal with MTSU's athletic training education program to place graduate students at Rutherford County Schools with Rutherford County Schools athletic trainers to gain clinical experience.
Number 11.
Let me ask you a question about the athletic training. Is there enough for those kids at MTSU that we could put them with the middle school athletic training?
That was part of the budget request by the athletic department. I can tell you right now, based on where we are in the budget, it was not something that will be in my budget, just with everything else we have to fund.
Okay.
And it was part, and you guys will see, you'll get every principal request and department head request, but it was not something that we have funded right now. Sorry, Coach Harris and Dr. Rowling, they don't know that yet. I meet with them later this week.
Okay, number 11, legal.
This is annual policy review. It's the last section that we have to finish. It is section 2, which is financial, to meet the board of distinction.
Number 12.
Lots of engineering construction at the school level. First, Laverne High School CTE barn request. The CTE department's requesting to purchase and place a 10 by 16 portable barn building for use by the CTE programs. Cost for this structure will not exceed $10,000 and will be funded through the CTE department. Engineering construction has reviewed the request and has no objection.
Hey, Trey, I know where we're doing the additions, or the 3 additions, 3-level additions. Where is the CTE building going to be?
This particular barn will be where we're going to build the new CTE ag barn at Laverne. This is going to be utilized for storage of materials for their current classes. And then it's not going to be used for animals. We will be building them we will be removing their greenhouse.
Okay.
And building them a very nice barn.
Good.
Animal facility.
Okay. Wonderful.
So it's going in that same area for them to utilize for storage.
Okay, I was just trying to visually, the football field's here, the school's here, you know, the addition.
It'd be to the right, in the back, near the soccer field.
Okay, okay.
And Mr. Vaughn and I were having this conversation before we started. We don't build much storage in our schools, and with these programs, they just don't have a place to store their equipment inside the building. So that's where these barns come into play for them, and the fact that they're portable. Once we get them, if we need to move them, we've got the equipment. If they're not too large, we move them for them.
Okay.
Move them around.
Okay, thank you. Number 2?
This is a painting project request, and it's the third one we've done. School Nutrition Department's been reviewing options to upgrade the appearance of the cafeteria serving line at Cedar Grove Elementary. Cost for this project is $44,729.25. Will come from the fund balance. It will not require additional funds. Engineering and Construction Department has reviewed the request and has no objection.
Number 3?
Rockville High baseball softball metal building request. Principal Steve Luker is requesting to allow the baseball softball team to build a 30 by 70 foot metal building for use as a batting facility for baseball and softball. Cost of the structure is $18,759 and will be funded by the joint booster clubs. This request is at no cost to the board. Engineering and Construction has reviewed the request and has no objection.
Okay. Number 4?
Siegel Middle Baseball Field naming request. Principal Kim Stoker is requesting to name the baseball field after former coach Mike Tobit. Coach Tobit was the first baseball coach at Siegel Middle and spent countless hours starting the program and getting it to where it is today. Engineering and Construction has reviewed the request and has no objection. If you've never seen it, it looks like a junior college baseball. I mean, it does.
Number 5?
Blackman Middle fence request. Principal Dr. Jessica Jackson is requesting to replace the fence at a cost of $8,000. The cost for this replacement will be from the baseball, softball, and football accounts, as well as $1,000 from the school's general athletic fund. Engineering and Construction has reviewed the request and has no objection.
Number 6?
Madam Chair.
Yep, go ahead, Ms.
Dr. Sullivan, is this the fence that was taken down, or we had one that was taken down when one of the buildings was erected. Did that situation ever get?
No, it's at Blackman High School. That's still.
Blackman High?
Yep.
I thought it was
Yep,
at
in
Blackman
between.
School, but that still has never
No,
been.
no, I got an email about that a couple weeks ago, so, yep.
Do you know what tore up this fence out there?
Probably the former principal 3 times ago would be my guess.
Did you say who tore it up?
Yeah.
Or who put it up?
Tore it up.
My suspicion is wear and tear from the general public and after hours.
Jumping over it.
Climbing over it, jumping over it. We have that a lot, of fences around our playgrounds. We have an issue at a couple of schools where we fix a fence and the students and/or neighborhood children cut holes in it to gain access so they can use it as cut-throughs. We fix the fence, they cut the hole. It's an ongoing cycle.
That well's still working good out there, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, next, Browns Chapel Elementary Eagle Scout Sunshade Project. Principal Christina Penny is requesting to partner with Eagle Scout Skylar Grove on a project to install a sunshade on the walking track area of the school. The cost for this project will be donated by the Eagle Scouts and at no cost to the board. Currently, the drawings and the structure connectors have not been provided to engineering. Engineering has reviewed the project and has no objection to the location and intended use. However, due to potential wind loads, engineering is requesting additional support documentation prior to final authorization. Engineering is supporting the request provided they receive additional information.
I'm not exactly sure what a sunshade is, but, okay. Number 7?
Before I read number 7, it will come back to the board for final approval with more funding. This is just to get it started. Stewart's Creek High School football facility request. Principal Dr. Clark Harrell is requesting to begin the process of raising funds for building a football field house. Anticipated cost at this time is $2.5 million. It will be funded through donations and fundraising. This includes paying for architect design plans. The request is at no cost to the board. Engineering and construction has reviewed the location, and there are utilities in the general location. Approval from the local authorities will need to be granted before moving forward, and engineering and construction can assist in this process. Pending utility approvals, engineering has no objection to the request. But just like we do with other groups that are looking for loans and donations, they have to come back before the board to get that approval.
It's a pretty big time field house, in
The
2.5
cost is
million.
getting more and more expensive every time we build one of
Do
those.
they have turf field there at Stewart's Creek?
Yeah, they do.
Yes, sir.
And $2.5 million, man.
I know, imagine.
That's like the offshoot of the Titans.
Number 13, book review.
So these are our internal reviews for the following titles. You have Catch-22, The Assassination Classroom, Volumes 1 through 8 and number 11, Perfect Chemistry, Water for Elephants, and Yolk. And so those are for...
And everyone will find the recommendation and findings here.
And if you see any that say inconclusive, that means we have a recommendation that was varying between two reviewers.
Yes, Ms. Sharp.
Spoke with Representative Michael Sparks earlier today about another matter, and he said that someone had mentioned Catch-22. Is that an AP? Do we have those?
It has been.
It does show up in the AP test, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Or it can.
Next, we have the financial report.
All right, if everyone will, this is February's financial report, so if everyone will look at the revenue first. So we're going to look at the one-page document that's front and back. So 141 General Purpose School Fund. Not surprising, you will see that property tax, so I'm looking at revenue 40,110. Revenue was extremely high in property tax because people pay property tax in February. So we normally are expecting 6 million if you budget it out over the whole year. We actually got 23 million last week. That'd be nice. Last month, you'll see local option sales tax was actually up, which is a nice trend, but it is usually 2 months behind. So that is accounting for the Christmas season in December. So I'll be interested to see what January looks like. So the 10 million compared to our 8.5. The other ones I always like to look at is investment income, so about middle of the page, 44,110, still above, but interest rates have dropped for investment income, so that'll start to right size as time goes on. TISA still where we would expect it, so revenue overall still looks strong. I would expect, based on revenue, several million to go back into fund balance again, based on revenue. That is why I know that the county commission, I mentioned it last time, never wants to increase maintenance of effort, but just as we've talked about being honest with our expenditures, I think it is a fair request for us about being realistic about what some of these are bringing in as far as revenue goes. And so when we're asking about revenue, we have added students since the last time maintenance of effort was increased. And so some of these accounts are bringing in more funds than are budgeted, which I know you want to do to protect your accounts to some degree. But putting in an additional 5 to 10 million in fund balance when we're potentially looking at a shortage or some conversations that we'll definitely have with our county commission and we'll have as a board as well. So that's revenue. If you'll look at expenditures, we are right at, from a funding standpoint or from an expenditure standpoint, a little bit over 70% finished with the school year. But as we talk about every time, from a teacher standpoint, we are a little bit over 50% of payroll. And so for our teachers, we're looking somewhere between 50 and 55% of salary used. It throws it off a little bit because we have power hour and those different types of things that we also pay out of these lines. So they're going to fluctuate a little bit. EAs, again, we're at about 70% of the year, so you would expect those to be above. But teachers, again, we pay the year, we withhold June, July, and August, so that those are going to be a little bit less than the 50% ones. But everything else looks within line. The cleanup amendments have been posted to this. I'm sure, again, there'll be some other cleanup amendments we have to do as we get through the rest of the year, but if there's anything you want to point out and discuss on Thursday, feel free to ask. Just wanted y'all to kind of see where we're looking for February. But revenue looks really strong right now.
Good to see. Number 15, Director's Update.
Yeah, so we did the financial report. I will discuss this on Thursday because I think it's worth discussing on Thursday as well. But I do want, we celebrate a lot, but I think we always need to celebrate a lot. James Evans was named the Communicator of the Year by the Tennessee School Public Relations Association. So
Congratulations.
We will, I wanted to mention it tonight because we'll do a press release tomorrow, but I'll also mention it Thursday because we'll have a bigger audience on Thursday. That is a big deal. It was in Franklin, seeing the admiration that his colleagues have for him was really neat. That was just seeing people come up and talk to him because James has a lot of credentials that people don't realize and they don't talk about. So that was really neat. He has been with us since 2004, and so one of the things, hearing people talk about just the stats of our county and the time he's led communications, seeing the opening of 20 schools, 20,000 additional students, and then he is eligible for the National Schools Public Relations Association Communicator of the Year that'll be in July. So congratulations, James. Super proud of you. So, and that's all I have.
Well, Mr. Vaught, you were just in the nick of time for your state and federal report. Do you have anything, or are you going to wait for till Thursday? Okay. Yes, Ms. Sharp. We are in general discussion now.
Okay, we're in general discussion. Y'all, it's Jazz Fest time. We are back at the fountains again through their graciousness of lending us the facilities. We have 20-plus bands. 2 of the private school bands are making an appearance. We also have an appearance by Belmont University Jazz Band. We also have the Victory Drumline and the Cadets. They'll be performing each day. So we need to fund it because it's an all-volunteer staff, so we need sponsors and donations if anybody wants to. It's going to be a great year. We don't have a prom or a wedding or a rehearsal dinner this year to contend with, so we have the parking lot and everything all to ourselves. And they're not building beside us, so we have more than enough parking. Last year it was we suspect over 4,000 people. Yeah. So reach out to Dr. Halford for donations or any of the board members. So we just need.
And we could use some volunteers as well.
Yes.
So if you feel like you're inspired and want to help with this, we've just mentioned, reach out to Tammy or myself.
I have a sign-up genie.
Yes.
And we have a Facebook page and everything too, so most of all of that's out there. So.
Okay. Dr. Sullivan, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Lee, I think you've got a bus information about 90, 84, and 78.
Mr. Vaught asked for this information at the last meeting, and I tried to provide it. You can get into the weeds with this, whether you finance your bus for 5 years, 10 years, or 12 years, and what your interest rate is, and all that kind of thing. So I chose not to go into that. So what we have provided.
Ms. Maxwell, is there any way to put this in the, where we can see it?
She wants it a lot bigger.
I will email this to you after tonight's meeting.
Okay, I just wanted to follow along well.
The first box is the 90-passenger bus, which is what most contractors have and what we have predominantly in our district. Those buses cost $173,000. That's no tax. That's if I go buy one, according to the local bus dealership, that's what the bus cost. And the next box is an 84-passenger bus. It's $171,641. Next is the 78-passenger passenger bus, 78-passenger bus, which is a flat nose. It is $169,864. The next box where you see a drastic drop is a 78-passenger conventional bus. That has most of those have a hood on them. They're not made as stout. They're not made as, and I'm trying to think of a good term. The cheapest thing they can buy. Yes. Most of our contractors that are running, if they have one of these buses, they're going to have the 78-passenger bus because it's more durable, it's going to last longer, and it's intended for, I guess, a more rigorous ridership. All of the buses, according to the local bus dealerships, the fuel mileage on all of these is basically the same. It's going to cost them around $7,200 a year for 10 months. Their incidentals, tires, oil changes, those kind of things, normal wear and tears, around $2,000 a month. Next is what a 90-passenger bus running a standard 60-mile route, which is the minimum that we pays $71,700. Divided by 10 would be $7,170 a month, basically. That's with no fuel surcharge, and that's no extra mileage. That's the minimum route. For the 84-passenger bus, that route pays $68,394. Over a 90-passenger bus, that's a savings to the county, $1,059, less the seat rate, $3,267. That's $1,908 that the contractor is losing if they choose to go drive an 84-passenger bus over a 90. Yes, sir. Current seat rates. I cannot speculate on what the seat rates are going to be yet. So I'm using our current contract. 78-passenger, same thing. It's basically a $3,500 loss to the contractor if they chose to drive a 78-passenger bus. If they're driving, that's a savings to us. Here's the catch. And I said it, I tried to be clear at the last meeting when we got into this discussion. I'm all for giving them the option, with the caveat that they can be moved if I need a larger capacity bus. And right now we have more buses leaning toward the capacity than we do that don't, except when you get out into the Kittrell, Las Casas, Milton, Rockville to Eagleville. Most of our Rockville buses that are running back towards town are all running full. We have very few buses that are running low. We have our buses, the vast majority are going to be more to the full side than not. And some of those could take a chance. It would be their business decision to do so. And we would provide those seat rates, and I would be uncomfortable from a personal standpoint and from a selfish standpoint as well, going to the 78-passenger conventional. And I say that they're going to be more prone to breakdowns, which is going to add to additional drivers trying to cover those routes. Have no problem with if a driver wanted to drive the 78-passenger, I just struggle with the conventional.
Yeah, go ahead.
When those routes are designed,
Make sure your mic's on.
Katie took care of that. She watches that for me. I don't do a real good job of it. But when you design the routes, or I assume you design the routes, or the computer program designs the routes.
Computer and our personnel in the transportation office, yes.
from history and standpoint, everybody kind of knows.
Enrollment,
You just see it. It just evolves, right? And so,
they change yearly, but yes,
but they evolve.
Yes.
Over time. It's, and my only experience with this would be when Daddy used to carry the mail at Las Casas. And when Las Casas started growing, like Bill carried Route 2, Daddy carried Route 1, then there was a third route added. Their capacity, their routes didn't get longer, but their capacity increased. And then it got to where they couldn't haul that much mail, so then the third route was created. I assume it's kind of the same way with you. You can run 60 miles. 60 miles 30 years ago was a lot different than 60 miles now. There's going to be 3 times as many houses, so those routes are added. Here's the ultimate question I think I've got to get back to, or at least from my standpoint. You believe from an efficiency standpoint, I think that a 90 gives you, and I say you, Transportation Department, not you personally, Trey, but Transportation Department, more flexibility if every bus is the same, if every capacity is the same.
that would be a true statement. Can we adjust for a 78 passenger? Would love to.
And that's the reason I'm thinking, you kind of think outside the box. Do we really get down to efficiency? But then you look at, UPS, FedEx, they're short route trucks, they're long route trucks, they're all the same. It's kind of interchangeable parts. What is it? Southwest flies the same size plane everywhere. They've designed those routes where they're, 90% packed, 95% packed all the time. So I guess we're going to come back around and meet ourselves here in the equation that the 90-passenger bus, even though it's the most expensive bus, in the long run it gives you more flexibility, or gives the county more flexibility in designing those routes and making them efficient.
Yes, and I'll pull back the curtain slightly.
That's fine.
When we start getting into that 67 range, we start looking at adjusting routes or adding a bus. If I go to a 78, I'm really not 78. I'm going to be in that upper 50s range for a high school.
Realistically,
A vast majority of our buses run an elementary, a middle, and a high. We have some, because of distance, not capacity, distance, that they don't run but 2. They'll run an elementary and a high, or they'll run an elementary and a middle, and they don't run a high.
It's a time and it's a mileage thing.
And we got a computer, and I got some ladies back there that do a wonderful job, and I'm not arguing with them. So I say that to say, in those instances, if a contractor chose to go to a 78, it would impose upon us, and it wouldn't take a whole lot of growth, the addition of another bus quicker than I could maybe get through the rest of the year if I had a 90. Are you following where I'm going?
Because I'm sitting here trying to do the simple math. A 78 is really what?
Somewhere around a 60, 62.
Yeah.
A 78. I mean, it's going to be in that 60, 62 range is for a high school route. Now, elementary kids, I can get them on there all day long. But I have to look at that contractor's route, not just from elementary. If he's running elementary, middle, and high, I have to take the highest.
Well, but then you get back around to the efficiency, equation. You're transporting more
pupils
per people. I was going to say produce, but that's probably not a fair way to look at it. I've been moving corn today, so I've got it on my mind. That you would save on labor cost. Your labor cost per individual would drop. Your capital cost drops, but it's going to end up being probably the same if you did the simple math. So your labor costs, theoretically, we're saving on labor because we can haul more. That's what it comes back to.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
that kind of answer what you were trying to get?
Yeah, and that was the conclusion I had come to, but nobody had ever, for us to really look at the big picture and to prove, and I think, and I'm speaking for myself right now, you know, we've got the commission looking at us, you know, here again, this body right here, the operation of the school system, 75% of the tax rate in this county, and we've got 21 people kind of overseeing us to make sure we're as efficient as we can. And you know, you and I have been around 30 years in this, 35 years now, I guess, and some of the county commissioners haven't been exposed to all this. And it's easy to be that Monday morning quarterback and question, okay, why are we doing what we're doing? So sometimes I just felt like we need to go back and redo the exercise again to say, hey, here we are doing as efficiently as we can here.
And here's another thing that we can add to that, and it's the same thing. It's another way of looking at it. If a contractor goes to a 78, I can save $3,000. And I say I, meaning the district.
Right.
And it's there in red. It's $3,478 in a year. I can save that. But if I've got two of those in that one route, and I add 10 or 15 students to one of those buses, I no longer have the capacity to make the rest of the year, and I've got to put another bus on at a cost of $68,000.
Right.
And that's that's 20 some odd buses at a savings of $3,000 a month across a district that I believe we're going to be adding more buses than we're going to get back.
Which is a valid concern. And the other part of this equation for me was, if you believe the administration now that we have, they're going to do everything they can to lower energy costs. Well, what does that look like 2 years from now? Is that an excess of natural gas? Is that LP? Looking at a different fuel type? You know, if I was a contractor, I'd want to look at that because, you know, diesel, it used to be that diesel was the throwaway, right? When you and I were young guys, we could run diesel half what we could run gas, and now the diesel's higher, and from the emission standpoint, these guys are having a extremely hard time with maintenance and repair. So that's the other part of the equation for me, is the upkeep, maintenance, and repair. You know, does it open up different possibilities for them?
Thank you.
I think that's one reason I wanted to have the diesel and the gas in our fuel index in the contract. We've always just had diesel.
Yeah.
And I think we need both because there again, benefits the district if the drivers decide they can get a gas bus versus a diesel bus and they can make a little more money. I think we should have both of those in there as part of our fuel index, is diesel and gas, where we've always had just diesel in the past.
Yeah, and personally, I would probably put in there natural gas.
Propane. We do have one so far.
Mr. Tidwell.
On that same topic, when you're talking about the 78 passenger buses and you're talking about Kittrell and some of these more rural routes that are more time constrained than they are capacity, where it might make sense for that contractor, as long as they have the awareness that there is going to be a loss of funds, that's, I mean, based on this math here, and that they could get moved if capacity, they build a huge neighborhood right beside Kittrell, that's something that could happen years down the road. If those things happen, they still could potentially have the option to do it. I'm trying to figure out where it would make sense for them. So one of the things that one of the contractors mentioned is that a lot of surrounding counties have the 78 passenger buses. So are they just looking at it? The cost here, to me, doesn't make sense. So are they looking at buying used buses?
They're looking at the used bus market when they've still, and that used bus is, I've got a county close to us that has 15 or 20 buses. They're going to run them for about 10 to 12 years. And then they're going to get rid of them about 4 to 5 years before their state says they have to get rid of them. Now, you can go 2 years beyond that now, but you've got to have them inspected twice a year and all that kind of stuff. If they're really good buses, and they're like you and I, and that thing is not giving me a bunch of problems, I'm going to keep riding that horse. But when it starts giving me problems, what are you going to do? That's the ones they're unloading, which then become my problem when they're broke down quite often. If they're buying new ones, buy them tomorrow. We have a mechanism in the contract that if you can't keep your bus running, we're going to, we can potentially, there's ramifications for it. As long as those ramifications are backed up and enforced, I don't have a problem with them buying a used bus. That is the goal for them. They want to buy a used bus that's got 3 to 4 years left. And if they're in a Kittrell, Las Casas area where it is time, and I have no problem with them, with everything you've just said. And I tried to say that the other night. I'm for it if a contractor wants to do it. But going your way, there's a subdivision after subdivision after subdivision that they're adding 2 houses this month, 3 houses next month. It doesn't take many of those for that bus to start. And at that point, I've got 2 choices. Add a route or swap 2 buses. And when I swap them, they're going to make 7 phone calls. And when they do, I need you all to go, we had this conversation. We're all in agreement. You knew what you were getting into. Sorry, you've got to go to the north end of the county to run. And I wouldn't do that unless it was, but you understand where what I'm saying. I have 0 problem with it, but when I have problems, I'm going to chirp pretty loud.
And that makes sense, and that should all be clear up front, that is a risk that they are taking.
And as long as everybody understands it, I don't have a problem at all for a 78-passenger bus.
Oh, I think that should be, if the board decides to move that route, that should be in the contract as well, to make sure all that's firmed up. But what kind of discount are you talking about on the used bus? If you got 4 or 5 years left on the bus, you got any guess as to what kind of difference it is?
I would have no idea, and it varies based on make, model, years, miles. It's almost like buying a used truck. Is it a 2017 with 50,000 miles, or has it got 200,000 miles?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if these that have 4 or 5 years left, are they selling them for 20,000 or are they selling them for 70,000? Because I'm just not seeing how the math's really adding up for them.
It's a business decision, basically. Do I want to run used vehicles, or do I want to buy a new one, run it for 10 years and flip it, and get me another new one? And I'm sure they've all got reasons why they do what they do.
I have a question, Ms. Maxwell. Thank you. This is totally a different topic than the mileage and the cost and everything, but I'm just curious. There was a comment that was made last time about the 2-year wait, that they have to wait for a 90-passenger bus. That was mentioned.
There's no wait. They're all about the same.
Was about the same.
The 90 and the others, according to the dealership down here, I can have anywhere from 8 to 12 in 2 months.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I thought I had heard that they waited 2 years to get the 90-passenger bus because there was only one manufacturing that made them.
Thomas.
Down here.
Yeah, I think what you're talking.
Go ahead.
Bluebird, I
Yeah.
think, is 2 years out. Mm-hmm. Bluebird's got plenty of the smaller buses right now because
I think they made a business decision too.
Yeah, they've rolled the dice right here. From the information I've gathered is that they overloaded production there. So that's what you've heard is correct, but it's a different brand bus.
Oh, okay. So there's other brands that are making 90-passenger bus, so it's not just Bluebird.
Yeah, predominantly here there's Thomas and Bluebird. You get in other states, International still builds buses.
Carpenter builds some small ones
Yeah.
still, but they got out of the big bus business.
You know, they're up north, there's about 6 manufacturers, but here, the two predominant, just because of parts and service, are Thomas and Blue.
Thomas and Bluebird.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else?
I got one.
Okay, Mr. Sullivan.
I think
Don't
Dr.
forget, we have an executive session immediately following.
I think Dr. Martin should share what she did Saturday a week ago. I think you asked her to do.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yes, we had a special request from the DAR at one of our schools.
Yes, and thank you, Ms. Maxwell, for making us aware of that. So I represented the school system and went to that DAR ceremony there at the Beatty Farm, right across from our new Poplar Hill Elementary School. So that was a lot of talk too. And so we kicked off the 225-year celebration and got to sign George Washington's birthday card. So not everybody can say they did that 2 Saturdays ago. So thank you for inviting us and
No,
including
thank you for
us.
representing. I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but thank you for being there. It was an important event and to this community and to the Beatty. I did not realize they had a Revolutionary War hero there, but they do.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Is anything else?
Move to adjourn.
We're adjourned.